A few inches of water on a flat roof kept a house at 70 degrees. Year-round, summer highs hit 100 outside. Winter lows dropped into the 30s. No air conditioner, no furnace, no electricity. A university monitored it for 9 months. The U.S. government called it one of the most promising inventions in America. That was 1973. You have almost certainly never heard of it. The average American household spends about $1,350 a year on heating and cooling. Over a 30-year mortgage, that is more than $40,000 just in energy. Then add the equipment. A central HVAC system runs $10,000 to $14,000 installed. It lasts 15 to 20 years. Then you replace it. Over 3 decades, that is 2 full systems. $20,000 to $28,000 in hardware that sits in your basement and on your concrete pad, wears out, and gets hauled to a landfill. Add the energy, add the maintenance, and the total cost of fighting temperature in your home over a 30-year mortgage is somewhere between $63,000 and $73,000. The roof pond system in Atascadero cost $0 a year to operate. For the entire time it ran, the working fluid was water. The energy source was the sky. By the end of this, you will understand why your roof is the most expensive surface you own, and why the solution has been sitting in engineering journals for half a century, mostly unread. The man behind this spent 2 decades proving it worked. His name was Harold Hay. He was an American chemist, not an architect, not an engineer, and that matters because the people who were supposed to solve this problem never did. He solved it from outside their profession, with materials they considered beneath them. In 1952, Hay was stationed in India as an advisor to the government on building materials for low-cost housing. He arrived to find a disaster that had nothing to do with poverty and everything to do with progress. Traditional Indian roofs, thatch, and packed mud were being replaced with modern asbestos cement sheets. The new material was durable, it was cheap, and it had zero thermal insulation. Homes that once stayed cool during the day and warm at night became ovens by noon and iceboxes by midnight. Modern materials had made the buildings worse, not because they were bad materials, because nobody asked what the old ones were actually doing. Hay spent the next 15 years moving between India and Latin America, obsessively testing one idea, that you could control a building's temperature using the thermal properties of water and the simple act of covering and uncovering it. No machinery, no fuel, just mass and timing. In 1967, he scraped together the money to build a test room on a property belonging to John Yellett, a respected solar engineer at Arizona State University. It was 10 feet by 12 feet, a shallow tub of water on the roof, a slab of insulation that slid over it. That was the whole system. The outdoor temperature was 95 degrees. The indoor temperature was so cold that Hay put on a sweater and a coat to stay comfortable. That result from Arizona is the one that stopped me. 95 degrees outside, a coat indoors, from a tub of water and a sheet of foam. 6 years later, Hay got his shot at a full-scale house. Atascadero, California, 1973. Poly San Luis Obispo monitored it. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development helped fund it. For 9 months, researchers recorded every temperature shift inside and outside the building. The results? During summers, where outdoor temperatures reached 100 degrees, the indoor temperature stayed between 66 and 74. During winters, where outdoor temperatures dropped into the 30s, the home held a steady 70. No auxiliary heating, no auxiliary cooling, no backup system of any kind. 100% of the home's thermal comfort in both directions came from water on the roof and the schedule of when the panels were open. Okay, so here's how it actually works. Because the principle is simpler than you think, and once you see it, the question stops being, does this work? And starts being, why is this not on every flat roof in the country? Start with what you already know. Your roof bakes all day, 150 degrees in summer. That heat pushes down through your insulation, through your ceiling, into every room your air conditioner is trying to hold at 72. Your AC is in a war with the surface directly above your head, and every night that surface cools down, but not enough, and not fast enough, because a standard roof has no way to dump its heat efficiently. Now picture a different roof, flat, a steel or concrete deck. Sitting on top of that deck are heavy plastic bladders filled with several inches of water. During the day, thick insulation panels cover those bladders. The sun beats down on the panels. The reflective surface bounces most of it away. Underneath, the water sits in the dark, insulated from the heat above. But it is not insulated from the rooms below. The water is resting directly on the metal ceiling, and all day long it is absorbing heat from the living space beneath it. Quietly, silently, like a cold sponge soaking up warmth from the air. By evening, the house is cool and the water is warm. Then the sun sets. The insulation panels slide open. And here is where the physics gets beautiful. The night sky is cold, not regular cold. The effective temperature of a clear night sky is well below freezing, even when the air around you is 60 degrees. That is not a metaphor. If you have ever walked to your car on a fall morning and found frost on the windshield, when the air temperature never hit 32, you have seen this with your own eyes. The glass radiated its heat to the sky and cooled below the air temperature. That is nocturnal radiation. Every warm surface on Earth is sending invisible heat upward toward the cold of space, all night, every night. The water on the roof does the same thing. Exposed to the sky, it radiates its stored heat upward. The sky absorbs it. By dawn, the water is cold again. The panels slide shut, and the cycle starts over. In winter, you reverse the schedule. Panels open during the day. The water absorbs direct solar heat. Panels close at night. The warm water radiates heat downward through the metal ceiling into the rooms below. Free heating, same water, same panels, different timing. Your roof becomes a battery. It charges from the sun in winter and discharges to the sky in summer. The water is the storage, the insulation is the switch. And what that feels like from inside the house is unlike anything a forced air system produces. There are no ducts, no vents blowing, no cycling on and off, no noise. The ceiling is the system. In summer, it is a cool surface above your head, pulling heat out of the room the way a cave wall does. In winter, it is a warm surface, radiating heat downward into the space. You feel it on your skin before a thermometer would register it. It is the quietest climate control you can imagine. The house does not sound like it is working because nothing is running. That Atascadero data alone would be enough to make this credible. But Hay's work did not exist in isolation. A simulation study using Skytherm modeling in Shiraz, Iran, showed the system reduced heating demands by 86% and cooling loads by 52% in a typical residential building. Different country, different climate, same principle, same results. And in 1974, Hay testified before Congress urging federal investment in passive solar heating and cooling research. 2 years after that, the Bicentennial Commission, the same body that was selecting the most important American innovations of the century, named his Skytherm system one of the nation's 200 most promising inventions. By 1976, Mother Earth News reported that at least 21 Skytherm houses were under construction across the United States. This was not fringe science. This was recognized, funded, monitored, published, and celebrated. It just never became a product. And the people who understood the physics behind it figured it out 2,400 years before Harold Hay was born. Around 400 BC, Persian engineers built structures called yakhchals in the middle of the desert, shallow pools of water shaded by massive walls exposed to the clear night sky. Even when the air temperature stayed above 50 degrees, the water froze. Nocturnal radiation pulled enough heat from the surface to form ice in the desert. 129 of those structures are still standing in Iran today. Hay did not invent the principle. He put it on a roof. Now, let me put some numbers on the cost comparison, because this is where the gap between what Hay built and what your house is doing right now becomes difficult to look away from. The conventional path over 30 years. Your first HVAC system, $10,000 to $14,000. Your second HVAC system, because the first one died at year 15. Another $10,000 to $14,000. Energy at $1,350 a year for 30 years. $40,500. Maintenance, repairs, refrigerant recharges, filter replacements, another $3,000 to $5,000. Total, $63,000 to $73,000. To fight temperature, in a box you already own, the Skytherm system. Operating cost, $0 a year. Times 30 years, still zero. No compressor to replace, no refrigerant to recharge, no filter to swap, no technician to call. The water does not wear out, concrete does not die in 15 years. The system has no moving parts except the insulation panels. Now, I need to be honest about what comes next, because this is the part that most videos on this topic skip entirely, and it is the part that actually explains why you are not living in a roof pond house right now. 3 problems, each one real. Each one the reason Hayes' invention went from 200 most promising to mostly forgotten. First, weight. Water weighs 62 pounds per cubic foot. 6 inches of water on your roof adds 31 pounds to every single square foot. A standard American wood frame roof is designed to carry about 40 pounds per square foot. You have just nearly doubled the load. A roof pond does not go on a wood frame house. It goes on a reinforced concrete deck or a structural steel frame. That is not a retrofit. That is not an upgrade. That is a fundamentally different kind of building. It costs more to build. It requires different materials, different engineering, different labor, different everything. And that difference starts at the foundation. Second, the movable insulation. This is the one that should have been solved by now and was not. In 50 years of roof pond research, nobody successfully commercialized a reliable sliding insulation system for residential use. The panels deflected, the seals failed. Thermal leaks appeared at the edges where the insulation met the frame. Browning Day, an architecture firm that studied the system's history, put it plainly. No one seemed to have been able to develop a workable, movable insulation system for the roof pond. The physics of the water worked every time. The engineering of the thing that covers and uncovers it never caught up. Third, climate. Nocturnal radiation needs clear skies. Humidity kills it. Water vapor in the atmosphere absorbs the infrared radiation the roof is trying to send to space. In Phoenix or Atascadero or Shiraz, hot days, dry air, clear nights, the system performs beautifully. In Houston or Miami or Atlanta, humid air, overcast nights, the cooling effect degrades significantly. A systematic review of roof pond research confirmed that Skytherm could not meet the cooling needs of a typical home in Sacramento, Atlanta, or Washington, D.C. 3 American cities, 3 failures, not because the physics broke, because the atmosphere got in the way. The physics never stopped working. The engineering, the part where you turn a proven principle into a product that goes on a real house in a real city, never got finished. So here's the question the title asks. Why did we stop building it? The answer is not suppression. Nobody at a conference decided to bury Harold Hayes water bags. The answer is that every piece of the American construction system was already optimized for something else. Lumber mills cut wood for stick framing. Framing crews know stick framing. HVAC manufacturers build furnaces and air conditioners. Building codes have prescriptive paths, step-by-step permit instructions for a wood frame house with a mechanical system. Appraisers value homes by comparing them to other homes, which are all stick frame with mechanical systems. Banks underwrite mortgages based on those appraisals. The whole chain, from the forest to the closing table, assumes one kind of building. A roof pond requires a flat, reinforced concrete roof, a different structural calculation, a different labor pool, and a different permit process. The building department that cannot calculate a water-loaded roof is not blocking you. They just do not have the training. Nobody does because nobody asks. And there is a deeper problem. The builder pays the construction cost. The buyer pays the energy cost. A roof pond costs more to build and nothing to run. A standard roof costs less to build and $1,350 a year to run. The builder who absorbs the extra construction cost makes less profit on the sale. The buyer who saves $1,350 a year is not the one writing the check for the foundation. The incentive is split between two people, and the one who would benefit from the better roof is not the one who decides what gets built. Hay knew this. He spent the last decades of his life trying to push the idea forward. He gave over $1 million and the deed to the Atascadero house itself to Cal Poly. He gave $500,000 to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. He gave $50,000 to Ball State University. Every institution that studied it confirmed the same thing. The system works. None of them turned the research into a product. A Cal Poly professor who worked on reviving the house said it directly. It clearly works. It's a design that's very, very simple, and that can be applied pretty much anywhere. That quote, and the fact that nobody has applied it anywhere, sit next to each other, and neither one blinks. The physics is in the engineering journals. The water is at the hardware store. The bladder material is in the industrial supply catalog. The structural engineering is in a consultant's office. Nobody assembled it into something you can buy. And if you are someone planning a new build, particularly a flat roof design, a concrete home, a shipping container build, anything where the structural capacity already exists, the water and the bladders are not the barrier. They are cheap. The unsolved piece is still the movable insulation. That is the component nobody manufactures for residential use. The rest of it is, as that Cal Poly professor said, very simple. You just cannot buy the one part that makes it work on a schedule. But here is where this story stops looking backward. The physics Harold Hay spent 20 years proving did not disappear when he did. It evolved. Researchers at Stanford, led by a materials scientist named Aswath Raman, engineered a surface material that does something Hay could not. It radiates heat through a specific window in the atmosphere, a narrow band of infrared wavelengths that water vapor cannot block. That material cools below ambient temperature, even in direct sunlight. Daytime radiative cooling. The thing Hay's roof pond could only do at night, this surface does at 2 in the afternoon. A company called Skycool Systems commercialized it. Radiative cooling panels that mount on a rooftop and chill fluid without electricity. Same nocturnal radiation. Same principle. Different packaging. Hay was right about everything except the packaging. He proved that a roof could trade heat with the sky for free. He proved it in Phoenix, in Atascadero, in front of Congress. He got it named one of the most promising inventions in America. And then he watched the construction industry continue building the same wood frame houses with the same mechanical systems that would cost their owners $63,000 over 30 years to operate. He spent his final years in a small apartment in Los Angeles, surrounded by a lifetime of research, holding up a poster from the Bicentennial Commission and pointing to the line where his invention was listed. An award from the President of the United States for a system that heated and cooled a house for free, that nobody built. The sky is still cold at night, the sun is still free during the day, and your HVAC system still dies every 15 years.